Hello, welcome to Extra Connections here on JLJ Media. I'm James Jr., the JLJ of JLJ Media. Yes. And we're here to connect people, places, things, and ideas. He's an idea. No, actually, he's actually a person. And he's not a thing, but he's a person. And we're going to talk to him about his life in the business, some of his life outside the business, all kinds of things. So he is an actor who has done many things. Some of you may recognize him from General Hospital. That's much of my crowd, or even Grey's Anatomy. Lots of hospital shows for you. But he's done movies and things like that. He has an upcoming series on Amazon Prime called Mrs. American Pie, which I'm in an Amazon Prime series too. It's kind of fun to be on Amazon Prime series. And he also was a talk show host. He also produced and wrote and created La La Talkland. So it's what it's like host to host, what that's like also. He is my friend, Brett Chapin. Hi, Brett.
Hey, James. Thanks for having me on the show.
First of all, I want to ask you, because you are a native Californian, which we don't have a lot of those all the time. Almost, not Los Angeles, you're in Orange County, so almost Los Angeles, but you're in Orange County. When you were at Laguna Beach, that's where you're from, correct?
Yes.
When the show Laguna Beach came out, all that stuff, what did you think of it? Because it's like what's Laguna Beach? Like, I'm like, you have no idea. It wasn't this huge thing. We knew where it was and like Newport Beach and all that, but it was funny. A show came out about that city.
Yeah, it is. So that show came out, I guess, a couple of years after I had graduated high school there. So I wasn't actually living in town at the time. But it was certainly impactful. It was a social phenomenon. I think, and it's interesting you're asking me about this because I haven't really had the chance to talk about it. I think that it's been, I think the subject matter and the storylines and the plots were a little bit overblown at times.
Well, of course.
It's reality TV. And so I think in some ways that might have given the public a certain impression of Laguna Beach that wasn't quite accurate. It's not everybody in the town is that personality type. So I think it's wonderful because it put Laguna on the map. And it brought tourism and all kinds of great things. But I think all of us locals in the town were a little bit like, I don't know if it's really representing the town quite the way that we see it growing up there. But I mean, I watched the show, so I'm not going to say I didn't see it.
There was a time, because there was Laguna Beach, then the OC came out, which was actually a scripted drama. And then, of course, the Laguna Beach went to the hills and all that stuff. So I just thought it was really funny because for us, I grew up in LA. I'm born in LA, was raised in Los Angeles. So it was always like the Valley, Los Angeles, Orange County. They're very kind of separate. We've all been to all of them. You've been to all of them. But it was funny when they decided to go south and feature you guys. We knew about Orange County and all the different Huntington Beach and all that stuff. But it was like funny to actually see it, to pick this. I always felt for someone. I never got a chance to ask anybody who was from there, just how it felt to have your area for the world to see. That it's not Los Angeles, it's the OC, it's down there.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw it, I was in college. I was just flipping channels and I flipped by MTV and I saw the show. And what is this show about my town? I don't want to say that it was all negative. Like I think the show was really impactful. But I think all of us locals were a little bit taken aback by it, especially when it first came out that first year. I mean, the show just blew up immediately. It wasn't a slow burn at all.
It wasn't.
So, yeah.
What kind of childhood did you have in Blue Beach?
What kind of childhood did I have? I had a good childhood. We moved around a lot. Actually, I was born in Connecticut. I was born on the East Coast and came out to California when I was about 7. We moved around a lot and kind of settled in Laguna Beach around the time I started going to high school. So I was always considered that my home and where I grew up. But mom was an actress. Dad was an English professor. And so, pretty normal childhood, I'd say.
How about Nori? Mom was an actress. What kind of actress was she? Stage, Hollywood? Like, what kind of actress was she?
Yeah, she did a lot of off-Broadway stuff. She did a show called Darn That Dream out in New York. Okay. And she was just really always involved in the business until she had kids, of course, and sort of retired and took a step back from that. But yeah, there was always an opportunity growing up to perform for the neighbors or, do this and show our talents. So I think that really helps me as I grew older and started to develop myself.
Did she discourage you or encourage you to go into acting? You said you wanted to go into acting.
Initially, she discouraged me. Actually, she didn't want me to do it. Wanted to make sure I was serious. And I think when I was 17, I got this show in part in an equity show at the Laguna Playhouse, and they came to see that. And I think my mom and my dad, that was the first time they really saw me as a performer and saw me doing a 18 performance run, and just the joy that I had up there. So that was the point where I think they started to really be more supportive.
That's very cool. So growing up in the house, you're youngest of 5.
Yes.
Are you guys like stair steps, or is it like is there big gay age gaps? Did you grow up with your family, your siblings?
Yeah, there's a pretty big gap actually. My mom had my oldest brother when she was, I believe, just 18, and then so there's a 19-year age difference between myself and my oldest brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had a brother or sister who was closer to you? Who was closer to you?
Right. The one that was probably closest to my age, my brother Danny. He's growing up we were kind of inseparable, and the older brother, I always wanted to be him, and growing up he was probably the one I looked up to the most.
Is he in the business?
No, he's not. He lives out of state and is completely not involved in acting at all. He's done some music, I know, but he's not really heavily involved.
Are you the only person in acting in all of the kids?
Yes. Although my 15-year-old nephew is wanting to be involved in the business. He's a rapper and he's doing his thing. But he's young and still learning. I think I'm outside of him. I'm the only one that's been involved in the business directly.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Very good. It's very interesting because I'm the only person in the family doing this stuff. I had a cousin who was in it for a minute, and I have a couple of cousins who are in it, but like in terms of my immediate family, they're not in it. That's fine. So yes.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're the only one, because there's not really that person in your family you can turn to and say, "Oh, this is tough, that is tough," because they're not quite involved.
Have you talked to your mom about anything though? Have you come to her over the years and said, Mom, this is happening, and you ever talk to her about it?
Yeah, there's been times when I've done that. But she's she's a little bit older now and not really there's not a whole lot of times that I've done that lately.
Okay, I was curious. So when did you realize you want to act?
I was 9 years old and I saw the movie of West Side Story, and I said, I want to do that. I saw Tony's performance. I said, that's what I wanted to do. Growing up, we always watched movies and we would rent movies on the VHS, and watch them at night. And so, that was the first time I think I made the decision to do it.
Do you sing also?
Yes.
There you go. So a musical is what you'd be doing. A musical.
Musicals are my love. I've worked on Rent and Into the Woods and Little Shop of Horrors. I got to play Seymour. So I love that stuff.
Do you like what? No, that's not going to say. I'm going to say differently. What is it you like about stage versus because TV and episodic stuff is a lot of hurry up and wait, sitting around, things like that. What is it about stage? How do you like about stage? Because it feels like it's so immediate. It's everything, right?
Yeah. There's a great quote by Sherry Renee Scott that I think describes it pretty well. She talks about. I'm paraphrasing here, but she talks about how when you do a film or a movie, it's only really a picture of a moment, and it's a photograph of a moment, and it's beautiful. But with stage, the audience shares in the moment. Everybody lives in that moment and has that experience with you. And it's an immediate feedback. And so I think that's why stage it will always be my first love. I mean, I grew up in it. So I don't know. There's a real energy that you can feel in an audience when you're hitting them where they live. You know, it's a really special thing, and it only lasts in people's memories and in that moment. But you get to take that with you your whole life. And yeah, I've had some really impactful moments on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think stage is something I've done a few things in stage, and if I've done anything regular on stage, most of my stuff has been recorded, and and that kind of stuff. And I do want to try it one day. I think I want to try it one day. We'll just see what the the pacing's different, the stamina's different. I mean, everything is just different when you do. It don't matter if it's off Broadway, on Broadway, on Wilshire. It doesn't matter where it is. Like I said, it's still stage is stage.
Yes, and the the other beautiful thing about it is you have time to develop a character. You get a lot of time, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, to really dive in and do the work and really bring the character to life a little bit more than in television. You might have a couple days to learn the lines.
Okay, so now you did go to school. Some people don't, and some people do. In this town, it doesn't matter. But I believe in education and stuff. So you went to the Laguna Playhouse Conservatory. What made you decide to get an education? What made you decide to do that?
I think it's key. When I was young and before I started going there, I think I was 15 when I started in there. And
okay.
Yeah, it's and I think I was a bit introverted, a bit shy, and I knew that going to classes and being involved in that stuff would kind of bring me out of myself. I was 15, a little awkward, wanted to find a way to be more vocal and be more outgoing, I guess, because that's certainly key to being an actor. So I got involved with the Playhouse. I worked with a great teacher named Joe Lauderdale for 3 years, who directed me in my first equity show, gave me a wonderful opportunity to work with these amazing actors, and at age 16, that was pretty impactful. And that was another moment too, I think, when I decided that this was really something for me.
Yeah. And when you were in high school, so 15 years old is a very transitional time. It's a very transitional time.
Yes.
So what were you, how were you at 15? Were you off stage and off all this kind of stuff? Were you very shy? Were you a very shy, introverted kid?
Yeah, I think probably even earlier than 15, I was pretty shy. I think around age 15 was when I started to sort of come out of myself a bit. I was involved in sports. I was on the football team and in the theater club. So I think that's helped me a lot to come out of myself. I was pretty big back then. I was around 220, 230 pounds. So definitely when senior year came around and I started losing the weight and doing sports and feeling better about myself, that of course helped me come out of myself and be a little more extroverted.
My chair just dropped. Oh, you said that, I guess. My chair was like, oh my God, he was what? No, I was going to ask you is, so you played sports. What did you play in high school?
Football, and I got cut from the baseball team, but I played baseball for a while too.
What is one thing you learned about team sports that you use in acting?
How important cooperation is. I think, when you're on a film set, everybody from the camera operators, lighting director, the actors, everybody has their job. And if one piece of that puzzle falls apart, the whole operation can fall apart. Just like in a football play, if somebody doesn't make their block or do what they need to do, everything falls to pieces. So definitely the individual links in a chain was a big, I noticed a real similarity between the two.
Me too. When I play, I realized that it really is a team effort. And when I did, I'm in the Amazon Prime series, Studio City with Sean Kanan. And he's my friend. He's my buddy.
Sean.
Yeah, he's my best friends. And so he asked me, he told me to come on. And
Mike Barnes,
exactly. Cobra Kai season 5, he's in it.
That's right.
I've been friends with him for like 7-8 years at this point.
We're friends on Facebook, I think.
Your friends on Facebook? Yeah. He's a really nice guy. Like I said, one of my best friends. And he asked me to come on. He goes, James, I got a role for you. I'm going to play opposite me. I'm playing opposite the great Sean Kanan. I can't believe it. We were laughing about that. But
yeah,
what I noticed is that when I was sitting, it's a long scene that we do. And it's improv. Some written, mostly improv. So it's me and him, another actress, the director, Timothy Wilbur Jr., the lighting guy. You're right. It reminded me of playing football, of a play. It was like, literally, it was like, we're going to do this, you go there, you go do this, you turn right, it's completely. I always say sports are great things for kids to play in because you learn teamwork, number one, but there are skills you do learn for later in life. And I remember just seeing at that moment going, this is like a football. Like we're getting ready to do a play. Like we're at the first down, we're ready to go. Like it's like this is like he's the quarterback and I'm over here. Like it felt very sportsy to me for some really reason. Like it hit me then. It did.
Yeah. And the self-confidence that you gain when you have a successful play is very similar to the self-confidence that you gain from having a successful scene. Yeah. It's really interesting. It's like a dance. It's really interesting.
It is. And I don't act as you do. I mean, I'm not an actor. I just play it on TV though.
Well, what are they bringing you back on there? Come on now.
I've been on several things and my friends write roles for me. That's what they do. And I say, come on, James, you're going to play this. I'm like, okay. So maybe I'll come back to every Warner City, but
I gotta check out the episode.
But second episode 2, season 2. That's the big one. Everybody's like, James, you were so good. I was so mean. I play a mean host. So you'll appreciate that. You'll appreciate that. Because you're a host. I play a very mean host.
That's fun. The villain parts are more fun.
Yeah, I found that out. You're right. I played a mean host 3 different times. I'm like, I kind of like being a bitch on screen.
Yeah.
I'm nice in real life, but I'm like on screen. I'll do it. Yeah. But no, that was one of the few times I looked at it as a sports. I love football, so I mean, it's just sort of one of the few times I looked at it as a sports kind of analogy. It was like, this is interesting because he's calling the play and he's getting ready, and she's over here. Like it was just really interesting. So that way, so I think sports are great.
I agree, and great for building self-esteem, confidence, and all that stuff. I mean, I would recommend every kid play at least one high school sport. At least try it.
I agree. So after you got your education stuff. How'd you decide this? Like, what was kind of going through your mind? Now I go to Hollywood and try to make it, or do I go to New York and try to make? Like, what was your first do you remember your first thoughts of like, okay, I want to be an actor, and I'm going to just go out there and do it?
Yeah. Well, actually, I did I shot my first role in a film on the day that I graduated high school. So I actually, it's an interesting story. I went to the graduation at about noon, and then I had to be on set at 5 p.m. at night. And I drove down to Universal. Actually, I didn't even have a car. I got a ride to Universal Studios and worked overnight on my first film. But yeah, that was a big moment. That was a fun day.
But how'd that feel? Like, was it like I graduated and I got a job? Were you optimistic? Were you just like, now I'm optimistic, I think this could work?
Oh yeah, I thought it was Oscar award time by next year. Yeah, I mean, I had the whole world in my hands that day. Yeah, but I did that, and then I went to college, and I did a little more work up in Santa Barbara and educated myself further. Came back to Orange County for a short stint, and then moved to LA in 2001, and that's when the ball really started to get rolling, I think.
So 2001, we're talking 21 years ago.
Yes.
And you're only 22, so it's very crazy. You were like a baby when you started.
I know, amazing. I think I might be in the womb.
Exactly, so it's crazy. Like folks, only 22 years old. It's great, but no, okay. So over 20 years, no, we're not counting all the other stuff, but over 20 years of the hustle, the grind, the auditions, the COVID, everything that went through this time. When you look back a little bit, just what are some things you think about as you look back on these last kind of 20 years?
A lot of hard work, a lot of peanut butter sandwiches and late nights, struggles to pay the rent. But so much joy, just so much joy. I and 100% worth it in every way. I've had a lot of really great opportunities. I've done a little background work, and I've had an opportunity to shake Anthony Hopkins' hand, and just yesterday I'm working a scene, and Carol Burnett is 3 feet away from me, and just I've just been really blessed, and I'm very thankful for those opportunities and grateful.
Yes. So, this is the part I get to. So he's done a bunch of things. So now we're going to kind of break down a couple of things, folks. And one is General Hospital. I'm about to turn 60 years old next year. I'm friends with half the cast. I know all of them. I've been doing the General Hospital after show for the last 7 years. Very popular. I have to ask you. So obviously, you know my buddy Mark Tester, correct? And
I have.
Yes. What was it like meeting him? Go ahead. What was it like meeting him?
Oh, I mean, Mark's a legend. He's been doing this for what, 30 years now, something like that. And just specifically on General Hospital for most of that time. And Mark's interesting. He really has a way of bringing out the best in his actors. I've taken a class with him, and he'll have you do a scene and then completely talk to you about it and make you think about things that you hadn't considered during the scene. And he'll be like, okay, go again. So he's very good at helping actors think outside the box.
He likes actors. That's why he loves actors.
Yeah, kind of an actor's casting director.
Yeah, he is, and that's a difference, because there are people you can tell where actors are disposable. There's like puppets, whatever. There are folks that show you they really do support you and want you to succeed. You can just tell that they want you to make it. They want you to succeed. That's him.
Yes, and I think that's something that so many actors miss, is that when you're walking into an audition room, the casting director wants you to make their job easy. They want you to do well, and they want you to succeed. It's not I have to get something from this person kind of a thing. It should be more of a, I have something to give to this role. I have something to give to this part. So Mark definitely helps you give the most and gets the best out of his actors. And I think that's, evident when you see the Emmy Award wins and the accolades.
So who have you played on General Hospital, where folks
I was lucky enough to play Mr. Roger Barstow. Roger Barstow unfortunately was killed off on the show. He suffered a head injury from an intruder, and then was gassed with the poisonous gas in the room. I got an opportunity to work with Brianna Nicole Henry on that scene, and Brooke Kerr. I've been able to work with the great Maurice Bernard and Laura Wright and Nancy Lee Braun, and I mean, those are always really, really educational moments, and I don't take them for granted.
So we all talk about the pacing of soaps. We all talk about it. It is crazy. So how'd you adjust?
I mean, you're just kind of thrown in the fire, so I don't think I really had much choice but to adjust. You get your scene and you see what's going on. They give you, actually, I did get the scene the night before in most cases. Okay. So you do have about a night.
Okay.
But you get the scene, you prepare, you find out what's going on, and then you sit in the dressing room and you wait for the intercom to say your scene number and head upstairs and do it.
That's right. Did you know about soaps beforehand?
I did. I grew up on Young and the Restless in the 90s. Mrs. Chancellor and the whole Nina David Ryan storyline.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So you asked me about anything Young and Restless in the 90s, I could probably.
About Neil and Drusilla, about the whole Lily and Malcolm, all this, all that stuff. So yes.
That's right. I've become buddies with Chase Benson too from the show. Yeah, he's that was an interesting time for soap operas, wasn't it? It was there were
13 soap operas on the air during that time period.
Yes.
13. And they were all firing on all cylinders.
Now, when you say 13, are you counting the nighttime ones like Dallas and Falcon Crest?
No.
Yeah.
13 daytime soap operas.
Wow, there's that many. That's
4 now. Every channel had a lineup. Did you remember? Had a lineup. ABC had From Ryan's Hope. They had Loving, it was a city in the 90s. So City, Ryan's Hope, All My Children, Why to Live, and General Hospital, Edge of Night. They had like 6 shows.
Didn't they have Generations too?
That's NBC. NBC had Search for Tomorrow, Generations, Days of Our Lives, Passions. They had all this stuff on that channel. Another World.
Yes.
And CBS had As the World Turns, Guiding Light. Then of course, Young and Restless, Bold and the Beautiful. So there was lots. So
I wonder what's changed. What do you think is
I can tell you.
Nowadays?
I do it full time, so I can tell you exactly why it's changed.
Okay.
One is viewing habits. People can't commit to 5 days a week anymore like they used to. People are working different kinds of hours. They're now used to binge watching. They're now used to streaming services. They're now used to different soaps for like that thing you did in college, that thing you did with your grandma. You know, it's now they're viewed differently now. They're not getting any new viewership. They're just losing. They're just kind of maintaining the viewership they have, and that's it. And that's why Days went to Peacock. They were going to cancel it. BBC was ready to cancel it. So Peacock is a little more hipper, and they're trying it out. They're trying over there. I just think that folks like wrestling. Remember, wrestling was huge too back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yeah.
People still watch wrestling, but it's not the same. A lot of it stopped. And I don't know if there's anything that can get me to watch wrestling anymore on a regular basis. I don't know if there's anything to get people to watch soaps anymore. I just don't know if they may seem outdated for some people. They just, even though everything's a soap now, if you think about it, every show is a soap now, so to speak.
Right.
Everything. But it's just that it's a stigma with soaps.
I mean, reality TV shows, everything you see on Bravo is basically a soap.
Hello. And that's what killed it too. That's what killed it also. OJ killed it first. The OJ murders killed it first. That whole trial killed the soaps. And then and that began to spiral. And then networks stopped caring about soaps. It's a whole other story. And then of course reality TV really did come in and do a number. The housewife stuff. It did a number. It really did something. You know, and that's why there's no primetime soaps, but there's a lot of episodic TV that does a lot of storyline arcs. Grey's Anatomy basically is a soap opera. You think about it. I mean, it's very soapy.
Oh,
they don't call it soap.
And it's a shame because I honestly feel that soap opera acting is the most difficult type of acting there is. And I've done a lot of, I've done theater and film and television. Soap, I mean, you're shooting over 100 pages on an average day, whereas film and television, you're shooting maybe 2-3 pages in a day on a busy day. So it's just such a difficult art form and so much less appreciated than I think it should be in some ways. I can't think away from soap fans. The soap fans are amazing. I'm of that world, but yeah, it's interesting that it has taken a little bit of a downward turn.
Going on something like General Hospital, which is every day, either you're not on there every day, but just a show it's every day. Did you find yourself getting recognized anywhere, or people saying things to you?
No, not really. I mean, I was a pretty minor character on there. I have done about 6 or 7 episodes, and I'm a regular background performer on the show, but no, I don't think anyone's watching me quite that closely.
Now they will. Now they see you. Now they will.
I like that idea.
Also, so you have a new series coming, Mrs. American Pie. I'm assuming that it's related to the others, or no? Is it something totally different? So let me know, what is it? What is it about?
It's not. It's actually based on a book by a wonderful lady named Juliette McDaniel called Mrs. American Pie. Or actually, I believe the title was Mr. and Mrs. American Pie. And I can't give a whole lot away, but
of course. But whatever you can tell us, it's kind of like, is it about a family? Is it about a drama?
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's a sitcom. Kristen Wiig is the main character. Laura Dern's producing. I should say it's on Apple TV, not Amazon.
They wrote Amazon in the bio. Ooh, so Apple TV.
Oh yeah, it's on Apple TV, and
I got it.
yeah, I mean, we just shot a scene, and Carol Burnett was sitting 2 feet from me yesterday. What an honor.
Have you talked to her at all?
No, I mean, we smiled at each other, but I did get a chance to have a nice long conversation with Ricky Martin.
So how's he?
Yeah, he's great. He is so humble and nice and kind. As a matter of fact, the first conversation we had was a pretty, good 10-15 minute conversation. He never let on who he was. And for some reason, it was an early morning. It was like 6 a.m. I didn't recognize him. And I just thought he was another actor. He never said who he was. He was just there. Hi, I'm Ricky, So very, very down to earth. Very cool guy. And I think you guys are really going to like his role in the show. He has a very interesting role.
Very good. Yes, it was very interesting. And that starts when? When is it? Next year?
Yeah, sometime in 2023, I would imagine it's coming out. Maybe summer-ish.
If you have Apple TV, you'll see the commercials, folks. They always do commercials. You see Apple TV.
But yeah, a lot of really great people on there. I'm having a great time working on it. I'm going back tomorrow. Can't wait.
Okay. You can't tell us your role and all that. You can't tell us your role yet. No, you can't.
No, I can't talk about specifics. I can talk about things that were reported in the press, I would imagine. So
yeah, that's fine. Well, when the show comes out, after you come back on.
Great. I'll be here.
What's your role on that? That's really good. Now, besides acting, you also decided to go into the world that I'm in. And that is production and hosting. So tell me the impetus of La La Land Talk.
Well, La La Land Talk is a show that we started in 2010. Byline for it was by Los Angeles artists about Los Angeles artists. So for the most part, we focused on Los Angeles-based artists, and that's artists in the broadest sense of the word. So actors, musicians, we had a doctor on once, we had a psychic on once, just anybody that sort of is an artist in any type of art in Los Angeles. We had a chance to talk to Bill Pullman, Spike Lee, Tracy Toms, Mackenzie Aston. We had some wonderful celebrities on there, and also lesser known artists would come on. Sometimes we would have live music. 200 episodes, and hosted it over 4 years at 2 different networks and 3 different amazing co-hosts. And I've just recently been sort of putting the episodes back up online and finding a place for them. Because I feel that there's certain stories and there's things that should have a little bit of a wider audience. I don't know that they got the traction that they should have gotten the first time around. So I'm trying to sort of repost them, go through that, and then we can kind of put this project to bed and let it live on YouTube and grow.
Your talk show sounds familiar to me, actually. I feel like I've heard of it, or probably seen it back in the day. It sounds, when I was reading this, I think it sounds familiar, like I have, so I could have. Because I was doing my own stuff, so I wasn't really paying attention to my own stuff, up to my own stuff, but I feel like I've heard of it before. But what I want to ask you, because you said some names like Mackenzie Aston, who comes from royalty, acting royalty, Spike Lee. Maybe you can say more. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions related to hosting.
Okay.
What I do, what you do. What did you find was the hardest part about producing a show?
Consistency. Making sure that you do it when you don't want to necessarily be doing it. Yes. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you don't want to call guests and schedule things, and but that's the idea of life, is just showing up when you don't want to show up and being consistent. But yeah, I found that difficult, and especially the show, I live in the Valley, and the show shot out by LAX, so just making that drive every day, and just so consistency was probably the most difficult thing. Yeah,
that's when I was at AfterBuzz TV, I'm by LAX. I had to go out to the Valley every day, so that's yes, I know that. I know those drives very well. For you guys who come in Los Angeles, the 405, over to the 101, like this, or the 101 to the, it's just 110 to the 101. It's in either direction. It was like, it was a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah.
A little better. We had the show on Saturdays, so it was a little less traffic, but still a little tough. Yeah. After Buzz TV, I know right where your studio is there off of Lancashire. Oh yeah, I think.
Now it's just sit there as a shell. It's gone. But I was there 7 years, so I was one of their big people there. But that's how I got my start.
Doing your own.
What? Now I do my own thing now. I'm a big deal myself now.
There you go.
So, okay. So, producer, I agree with you on that. How did you find your inner host?
Again, showing up every day. I think that I did a pretty decent job of picking guests who I felt were going to bring out the best in me, as well as my being able to bring out the best in them. I tried to pick guests that would have something to say and that we could really converse and have a good conversation with. So I think that helps me find my inner host. And just, the daily phone calls and daily emails and things like that, you really have to look at it as your business. And so having that mindset that it's my business can really help me find my voice as a host, I think.
Well, I know for me, because I was a radio host, and it was very different than being a host on a camera, because it's your stuff. So for me, it was very much like, okay, what persona do I want to give them that's not phony? And also, because you're not just a host, you're an interviewer. So you're trying to be present for that interview, whatever it is, and make that person. There's a lot that goes on, folks, behind the scenes. You make sure they're comfortable, you're comfortable, you're getting the questions out you want to get questioned, that they answer, you're watching the time period, there's a lot of things you do, right? There's a lot of things you have to do, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. And you hit the nail on the head too, I think, when you said, don't be phony. Being your genuine self is what an audience is going to react to. Audiences are very smart. They're going to pick up if you're being a little fake, a little, outside the box. Another person that helped me find my voice, I should mention this too, is when we came on cable radio network, they were gracious enough to sort of pick up our show. I was shopping it around to different places, and they were the ones that said yes first. And the great Robert Conrad was a host on that show. Oh. So he really took us under his wing and kind of showed us the ropes, interviewed us on his show. Oh, okay. And he actually ended up coming out to a theater performance of mine and just becoming a friend. So he was a big part of us getting our start.
What was your most difficult interview?
There was one person who wanted all their interview questions predetermined, and I didn't work that way. Really? They were a pretty well-known celebrity, and when they found out that they couldn't have their interviews questions pre-screened, they canceled. But I think that's okay, because I always wanted our guests to be their genuine selves and sort of be off the cuff and answer. I never asked any questions that were too hard hitting.
Yeah, right.
But I wanted to get their initial reactions to the questions, sort of the way you do it. So, and I think that's more interesting for an audience rather than predetermined questions.
I agree with that completely. Who was your favorite? Do you have a favorite, or someone who sticks out the most in interview?
Spike Lee and Bill Pullman stick out a lot, but I gotta say Mackenzie Aston was our very first guest on our first show.
Okay.
And our conversation with him was just so great. It's full of so much positive energy, and he's a lot of fun to talk to. So having him as the very first guest on the very first show, felt like a pretty big deal.
4 years. What made you decide to end the show?
I think it was time. I think we hit our 200 episode mark.
Okay.
And I think I wanted to move on to other things. I wanted to focus a little bit more on my acting.
Okay.
I was working for the state of California during that time too, and that job was ending. So I think it just felt like a good time to readjust and make a change in life.
Okay. So you had that, and you went into that. Then you're back to acting again. So that's what he's doing, acting. Do you think you're going to do hosting again? Anything hosting in your future?
You never know. It could happen. I mean, if somebody offered me the Brett Chapin show, I wouldn't turn it down. But I think as far as La La Land Talk is concerned, we're going to finish posting all 200 of these episodes. We've got about 60-ish up right now.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll let that live on YouTube and grow in views.
Where can you find that on YouTube?
You can find that if you just put in the search bar for YouTube La La Land Talk or my name, Brett Chapin. It should come up pretty easily.
Okay. Yep. Very good. You're doing this thing where you set a goal for yourself for 2022. And goals are interesting. I have one friend who is trying to walk 100,000 steps every week or something. It's like something like that he's doing for something.
Oof.
I'm trying to do run 1,000 miles in 2022. What's that about?
Well, I decided right around February, right around the end of February, that goals are very important. I had a lot of time to look inward during the pandemic, as I think we all did. And I started thinking about and realizing the importance of goals and just the process and the journey and how important that can be to ultimately achieving bigger goals. So I set a little random goal for myself for running 1,000 miles in 2022. I'm trying to do
where are you at right now?
585.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
So, yeah, I'm getting there, but I'm definitely behind where I should be. So I've got some catching up to do. But my goal is to do 5 to 6 miles a day, maybe 6 days a week, and I should be able to complete it. I would love to have some of the soap opera stars join me for my last couple of miles. And I put that out there to a couple of them. No bites yet, but
you're not there yet. So when you get there, we do a major push. You're like, come on, folks, he's almost there. Last miles, come on out.
I think people got to make sure that I'm going to get close first, and then maybe they'll join. Yeah.
Too. So I think when you get down to you're like, I'm at 995 miles, then folks will come in and help you push over the line.
Yeah, it'll be December 29th, but I'll do it.
Okay, there you go. Hey, you never know, right? What's the impetus of this too? Like, what made you decide to do this? Just for goal setting, just made for a goal setting example.
Yeah. I was getting a little chunky there during the pandemic, and went up to 265 pounds.
Yes.
Decided that this would be a good way of getting back in shape, and also, maybe it would impact some auditions. Maybe looking better would help me get a little more work. There's always that thought. So, honestly, I can't believe I'm almost at 600 miles. I never thought I could get this far, but yeah, going strong.
That's good. Congratulations. I've done marathons. So my medals are hanging up back there. I've done marathons, but that was my 40s. I did them, and I've done it since my 50s. But I'm like, that's something that I always think about myself. Do I want to do a marathon again or a half marathon? I haven't decided yet. It's very
I think if I finish this, I might be able to be in time for the LA Marathon.
Yeah, you should do it. It's a very interesting experience.
I've never done a marathon. I love that.
It is. I will tell you, it is one of the hardest things I've ever done, but one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And you don't know it till you cross the finish line.
Yes.
It's horrible. To me, it's horrible the whole time. Training for it, I hated all of it. Once I did it, I was fine. That last mile, I was like, I'm gonna get there. And then you cross the finish line, like, this was 6 months of training, plus last night's carb load, plus this, like, it's so much, you feel the accumulation of everything in that moment.
I can't imagine. I mean, and you get to take that success with you your whole life. It's like, I finished a marathon. Like, that's.
But for you, you'll say, I finished 1,000 miles in 2022. You're gonna say it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Now, me speaking of that, Brett is not only TV acting, producing, maybe did a talk show one day, but he also gives back. And one of the things you want to talk about is Gobble Gobble Give, the charity. Talk about that, please. And we're coming up on Thanksgiving and on the holidays, period. We're coming from them.
Yes, Gobble Gobble Give. So every Thanksgiving for the last 12 years, most of those 12 years, I've been involved with this charity called Gobble Gobble Give. That we go down to the Echoplex. We've been doing it there. I think right now, let's see, I think it might be at our sister brewing company. But every Thanksgiving morning, about 9 a.m., there's about 300, 400 people that gather down there, and we box up Thanksgiving dinner for the homeless and those in need. And then we put a bunch of them in our cars, and we drive out to different places and find people to share a holiday meal with. It's a really beautiful community of people, and it's something I think everybody should get involved with.
But it must be, it's just our homeless population in Los Angeles alone is huge.
Yeah.
So it just must be heartbreaking, and all those it's heartbreaking. It's a large population.
Yeah, and I don't know what's happened in the last 5 years with it too. It seems to have blown up even more. But these people are just so thankful and so grateful and so sweet. And it really warms your heart to be able to go out there as a group and make an impact like that.
Where can they go for it? Where can they go for that for more information?
They can go to gobblegobblegive.org and find out all the information about that. We'll be there Thanksgiving morning on 9 a.m. So make sure to check it out. I'll be there. Join me and make some Thanksgiving meals.
Join them. I'm running an event myself, but I'm not so I would join you. But I always feel like giving thanks. It's something that you have to give back. I just feel like, I get so much from my community. I need to give back to them, and you feel good afterwards. It feels good, and you're helping people. We're all connected. We're all part of the village. We're all part of the village. We got to help the villagers who aren't doing as well as the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an attitude of gratitude is so important. And, I think some people don't realize how important.
No. And I learned in the pandemic how fortunate I am. So I always try to give back because some of us in the pandemic, we did okay. Others didn't. And so we have to be mindful of that. And we're all part of the same thing. So I want people to know that.
And in that way, the pandemic, I think, was beneficial because it did give people a little chance to sort of decompress and breathe and look at their lives, maybe. Hopefully.
Well, hopefully, right? It did.
Yeah.
Brett, thanks for being on the show. You have to come back. You're a friend of the show, so you have to come back, of course. We follow each other online all the time, but I think it's going to be interesting to see you in this new role on Mrs. American Pie, which is Apple TV. I think it's something written, but it's Apple TV, folks. I think there's a lot of stuff on Apple TV these days too. Next month. Next year.
Yes. And by the way, I got to say, James, thank you so much for everything that you do for the daytime community and for the arts community. I think you're very humble about it, but I think you're making a real impact more than maybe you even know. So thank you for everything that you do as well.
I thank you for saying that. I tell everybody out there, support the arts. Arts-based programs in schools, very important. It shows, it helps with cognitive reading and math skills and life skills. Arts have saved people. That's why I feel so strongly about supporting the arts community. All arts, from dancing to music to acting to everything. It's something that start them young. Give them a drum when they're 3, and let them go from there and see what happens. I just think it's very important. Whatever I can do to assist that, that's what I'm here for. So that's what we're going to do. And I've been in the business 15 years, kids. I'm like, I came into it later in life, but I found my calling, I think. And people like Brett and all these people out there who are just support them, check out their work, see what they're talking about. Where can they follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram at instagram.com/Brett.Chapin. And I'm all over social media, Twitter and Facebook, and
start IG.
LinkedIn. So yeah.
Go there and check him out. Check out what he's doing. Support indie work and as well as mainstream work, support all of it. That's what we do here at Extra Connections. And me, I'm James Hart Jr. You can follow me everywhere. You know, I'm online everywhere. Either I'm making people mad or I'm making people happy. But that's the point. This is life. I'm living my life fully. You should live your life fully. And you should connect with other people. We'll see you next time.